For this last session, I'm going to cover a bit of my heart teacher's advice, general advice, and I'm going to cover a brief article written by Mingyur Rinpoche on what to do after retreat. So my heart teacher, Mr. Whitfield, had a lot of Zen influence, a lot of Dzogchen influence, Mahamudra influence, and I think also through his teaching in the martial arts with his teacher Kimura Sensei, I believe he also had some influence from the Taoist tradition. When I read some of the great texts of the Taoist tradition, I hear very strong echoes of Mr. Whitfield's teaching. And I think this is because Chan Buddhism and Taoism became so closely related in China, and then that was exported to Japan. So my heart teacher, Mr. Whitfield's advice is that there's no bad practice. No matter how this retreat turned out, there's no bad practice. No matter what level of commitment you decided to maintain, no matter what you did, if you showed up, it was a good retreat. It was a good retreat. No matter how the practice turned out, it was a good retreat. You turned up, you struggled, you did more than you would normally do. That's it. As you make your way into practicing in your normal life, it's so incredible to do this kind of retreat in the midst of your ordinary life and ordinary activities. Why? Why is that? It's so incredible because when you get back into your ordinary activities, you never left. You didn't go to Tibet and hang out in a cave for a couple of weeks and then have to come back to the real world. You generated whatever level of elevated effort you were able to generate in the midst of ordinary conditions, which means that the level of effort you're going to be able to generate in ordinary conditions in the future will be higher. So probably for some of you, this retreat will mean that your level of capability has now increased within your ordinary environment, where you live, where you go to work, interacting with family, interacting with coworkers, because you did this practice in the midst of all of these things. So that to me is a very, very, very profound benefit of this type of retreat. And I hope it's something that all of you are going to be enjoying in the coming weeks. Also, some general advice for moving forward in terms of your training. Mr. Whitfield used to say all the time, get I and mine out of the way, get I and mine out of the way, get I and mine out of the way. What does this mean? It means that you need to stop trying to get some experience for the sake of me and just apply the instructions. For example, if you're doing calm abiding training on the breath, just put the mind on the breath. You're not trying to bliss out. You're not trying to create some experience. You're not trying to overcome your childhood trauma. You're not doing anything but putting the mind on the breath. That's it. And if you struggle, it was a good session. Did you struggle to do that? Did you struggle to put the instructions into practice today? Then it was a good day. It was a good session. That's it. He also used to say, nothing extra, nothing extra, nothing extra. If anything else happens, frustration, doubt, disheartenment, this is just distraction. If you're trying to recreate something that happened yesterday, some great experience you had, now you're trying to have it again, that's just distraction, right? That's all me, me, me. So No need to imagine the future, no need to imagine the past. Apply the instructions right now. Struggle with the instructions right now. You know, be within whatever level of capability you are right now and fully engage at that level of capability. And that, if you can get more of I and mine out of the way, will produce results more quickly. So just follow the instructions, struggle with your mind. As my teacher would say, stand up straight during your ordinary activities. That means that you need to engage properly, fully engage. This means having character, it means having ethics, it means generating the very best type of mind that you can when you interact with your life. And then leave no trace. He would say, leave no trace. Means that you don't then try to get something more out of the circumstance for me, right? It's like shooting an arrow. You've done everything you can do, right? You've pulled the bow, and then you let go. And whatever happens next is out of your hands. All you can do is pull the bow perfectly as you can at that very moment. And whether or not it hits the target is out of your hands. So struggle, struggle, struggle. With joy. There's nothing else to do. There's no other way to take the medicine. You know, the only way to take the medicine is one spoonful at a time. That's it. And some of the medicine tastes sweet, some of it tastes bitter. But if you want to improve, if you want to get out of this mess, if you want the mind to become a nice place to be, and you want to gain some type of extraordinary capability to help others in the future, then take your spoon, have one spoon at a time. You don't need to cling to what just happened. You don't need to anticipate the next thing that's going to happen. As my teacher used to say, just do the next right thing. When you arrive there, fully arrive, and do what is the most concordant, correct action for the complete circumstance as you see it at that moment. With appropriate stance, appropriate posture, appropriate character. The very best you can. And if you live this way, things will improve. Very likely they'll improve conventionally, but also this type of work will totally change the quality of your training on the cushion, right? And this will help, again, create one of these feedback loops between real life, which is where all the doing is happening, and the cushion, where we're training to do the doing. Okay. So this is a little article that I've curated into the notes for the retreat, and I'm going to give you a few highlights from this. This is written by an astonishing retreat yogi, Mingyur Rinpoche. He was born into a family where his father was a realized being, and has trained in both the Nyingma lineage and the Kagyu lineage. So incredible practitioner. And this is his advice for when you're leaving retreat. He says, first, you need to sit in formal meditation every day. Yeah, so hopefully, as I said, once you leave this retreat, having done it in the midst of ordinary life, your capability will be increased a bit. And at a minimum, it'll be a bit easier to do your 1 5-minute session a day. So maybe that one session will become 2 sessions. We'll see, right? We have spent some time on this retreat eliminating ordinary distraction, not reading the news, not doing social media, not engaging with too many things outside of the materials for the retreat if you've been doing it in a pretty serious way, besides your career, right? And a few things you need to do around the house to keep things running. So Mingyur Rinpoche says here, you know, in just the same way that you need to build up some new habit to stop doing the social media thing, if you want to have more formal meditation in your life, you need to do something to build up the habit of this. And that's what we've been doing, right? You have built up these new habits of training a lot more, probably than you thought you could. Some of you are doing other intense activities or working, 10 or 15-hour days, and you still did more than you thought you could. So this is something you can take away. Obviously, when I get out of retreat, sometimes I go, "Oh yeah, in the next year, I'm gonna memorize this mandala, and I'm gonna memorize this text, and I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna sit this many times." And I think some of those aspirations are good, but what I've learned after many years of doing retreats and things is that maybe 25%, 50% of those aspirations will actually turn out to become reality. It can also be good, though, not just to think, oh, I'm going to do all this extra stuff, but you've also accumulated some habit of not doing certain things. So if this retreat has broken a habit, for example, of doing something quite harmful, it can be good to say after the retreat, okay, one more week, I'm not going to do this harmful, disturbing mental habit that I previously had. I'm not going to do that, right? So it can be good after retreat to have some of these fantasies, right? Like here's all the stuff I'm going to do, because this isn't your true level of capability, right? You've been pushing it. You're going to drop back down to 70%, but probably 70, 80% is higher than you thought it was after doing this. Your capability is higher than you thought it was, so now try to hold true to that level of capability, and you'll see where it really lives. And then also stuff that you can drop away, right? This is something you can realistically do. If you have cut some bad habit through powerful effort over the last week, then for the next 3 days, the next week, the next 10 days, whatever you think you can handle, just keep not doing that. Mingyur Rinpoche also talks here about informal meditation, which is a big part of this course. That's another reason that I like Mingyur Rinpoche's teachings. Just as a side note, Mingyur Rinpoche is one of the very few Tibetan lamas who have gone in for neurological scans. And when he generated compassion, for example, the neurological correlates in his head, in his physical brain, for things like empathy — empathy is usually what they measure, not compassion in neurology — were so far out of the normal range that it needed basically a new scale for the neurologists to put a number on it. The normal human curve on empathy goes like this, right? There are some people that have almost none or very little. There's sort of an average that's where most people live, and then there are some people that have a lot. Mingyur Rinpoche was like way over here, like so much that they couldn't put it in a category, a normal category. And this is from doing things like training in Tonglen, training in loving kindness, training in compassion, training in bodhicitta. So these practices have been proven to work scientifically. If you keep up working on these things, doing these ruminations, insofar as you can, we know that they work. The other thing they asked Mingyur Rinpoche to do, him and a host of other yogis, is to do single-pointed concentration. And basically, the neurological correlates for concentration, as I discussed at length in the course notes, very profound, very, very profound. They, for example, detected almost no activity in the default mode network, which is the part of the sort of set of stuff going on in your brain that's associated with your sense of identity, who you think you were in the past, your moral reasoning, if I'm not mistaken, making plans about the future, but basically all of this stuff tied to your self-identity, as we were discussing before. Single point of concentration cuts all of this. And then obviously, I can't remember what it is, something like frontal lobe activation related to ordinary concentration, again, off the charts. And his ability to alternate between these minds, like a Olympic level gymnast, also off the charts. I can't remember what they call that, but it's task switching, basically being able to go compassion, single point of focus, normal mind, Dzogchen mind, compassion, boom, 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 right? And his ability to switch between these high level neural correlates, unbelievable. So these skills are real. And if you want them, and you continue training in them, and you continue building up these habits, one day you will be like Mingyur Rinpoche, or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or my teachers. Yeah? Entirely possible. Part of this is informal meditation. Yeah? These moments that you carve out where you're walking, you're eating, having a meeting, watching TV, right? And you're bringing full awareness to what you're doing, like Mr. Whitfield said. He also says, don't, again, make your expectations too high. There's so much enthusiasm coming out of retreat usually. And just be aware that some of that won't be realistic. In particular, if you've had a very, very good retreat, maybe you've experienced your first real taste of concentrative bliss. These are early days. And probably those results won't stay. Or they'll change, right? A lot of times if you get a fresh experience related to training and concentration, it hangs out for a little while, a few days, and it comes up, maybe half the time when you're doing a session or so, and then it sort of fades. It's almost like you get whatever change you've made mentally that's activating the winds and creating bliss and all of this has now become normal, and so it doesn't do that anymore. And then people go, oh, well, I must be screwing up my meditation now. No, it's a sign that you're continuing with the process. Yeah? So don't cling on to whatever happened today. Just keep going and applying the instructions. As one of my teachers said, follow the method. Just follow the method. If you follow the method, the results will come. If you do something other than following the method, results won't come. Simple. For those who have been doing the just sitting work, here's someone other than this crazy guy over here saying very much the same thing. If you can learn how to do just sitting practice properly, then eventually, and this will sound wacko based upon the other instructions that we've been talking about, but eventually, moving minds and still minds get mixed together, right? In the same way that when you're watching the breath, even though the breath is moving, you can make the mind still and watch the breath. A later skill, through something like just sitting, is a thought is occurring, but it's just like this little wave that's occurring on the surface, and the mind is deeply still underneath. So the mind is generating states that are closer approximate to something like samadhi, right? In this just sitting state all the time. And even when thoughts and emotions occur, they're occurring on the surface of a mind that is like that, which is a very different experience in the first person, right? In the first person. To have this little tiny wave going on is very different than zooming in and being this wave with all these turbulent things going on, right? Versus zooming out and you're this giant, expansive, still lake, and there's this little wave going on over here, right? Very different. Very different. And so as that capability grows and real life and that capability continually begin to meet, which is a big part of the training in this course, as these two begin to meet more and more, then the difference between how your mind operates in retreat and on the cushion and how it operates in real life, these get closer and closer until they are the same, right? This is what realization is. It becomes how you are. You become like that. That's just how you are. When you're doing stuff, that's how you are, right? That's what a realization is. I'll let you read this yourself. He tells a wonderful story of how he left, this highly realized being's household where he was taken care of incredibly, and entered into, I think it was a 3 or 4 year wandering period where he just wandered around and meditated. I'll finish with these words from Mingyur Rinpoche. Sometimes a retreat is a wonderful experience, and sometimes the mind is wild, full of thoughts and emotions. Don't concern yourself about whether your experience is peaceful or not. Just try to do what I call zero meditation. Zero meditating means that you just try not to meditate. Means you just try to meditate, not caring if you have an experience of meditation or not. That effort of trying will bring you to authentic meditation in the future. So don't stay with the meditation experience, just stay with the wish to meditate. That's how you find balance. Try your best, but don't hold too tightly to the results. If you experience some joyful or clear, non-conceptual state, don't think, oh, I've achieved enlightenment, and this experience will last forever. And that's just grasping and attachment. It's okay to feel good that you've made some progress. It's okay to feel good about your meditation experience and to have gratitude for it, but don't attach to it. Today you had a wonderful meditation experience. Who knows how tomorrow will go? So, very much like my primary teacher's advice, Mr. Whitfield's advice, just do the next right thing. Just like one of my other teachers' advice, just apply the method. Just apply the method. Just apply the method. As Mr. Whitfield used to say, if all else fails, just apply the instructions. Follow the instructions. If you do this, then the momentum of just going back, will eventually produce results. And if you don't cling to those results and you just go back again, and results come, and you don't cling to those and you just go back again and just go back, then it grows. The more you cling, the less it grows, the slower it will be. Because then the progress becomes a distraction. Just apply the method. Nothing extra. Just pull the bow. Just pull the bow over and over again. We'll do our last 5 minutes and then dedication prayers. I'm going to put up something else on the screen for you. These are going to be some of Shantideva's prayers. We'll do something a bit more elaborate for this last session. And you're welcome at the end of your full retreat to do even more elaborate dedications if you'd like. However many sick people there are, suffering in body and mind in all directions, due to my merit, may they obtain an ocean of happiness and joy. However many sick people there are, suffering in body and mind in all directions, due to my merit, may they obtain an ocean of happiness and joy, an uninterrupted flow of unsurpassable happiness. However many hell beings there are throughout the realms of the worlds, may all those embodied beings be delighted by the happiness of Sukhavati. It's one of the pure heavens of a Buddha realm. May those wretched due to cold obtain warmth. May those wretched due to heat be cooled by infinite rivers arising from great clouds of the Bodhisattvas. May the forest of sword-like trees also become a pleasant grove. May the Shalmali trees too grow into wish-fulfilling trees. May they be beautified by the melodious calls of wild duck, geese, and swans, and may the regions of hell become charming due to pools of large and sweetly fragrant lotuses. May heaps of coals also become piles of jewels, and may the burning iron ground be revealed as crystal floors. May the mountains of mass destruction hell become celestial mansions of offerings filled with the Sugatas. May the rain of glowing cinders, burning rocks, and weapons from now on become a rain of flowers, and may the striking of each other with weapons from now on be a playful tossing of flowers. May those drowning in the fire-like river without ford, their flesh entirely disintegrated and their bones the color of kunda flowers, attain bodies of gods by the force of my virtue, and dwell with goddesses in gently flowing streams. May all animals be freed from the fear of being eaten by one another. May the hungry ghosts be as happy as the human beings of unpleasant sound. May the hungry ghosts be satiated by the flow of milk descending from the hand of Lord Avalokiteshvara, and by washing in it, may they always be refreshed. May the blind see and the deaf always hear sounds. Just as it was for Maya Devi, the mother of the Buddha, may pregnant women give birth without being harmed. May the naked obtain clothing, the hungry obtain food, the thirsty obtain water and other delicious drinks. May the destitute obtain wealth, may the wretched with sorrow find joy, and may the depressed be comforted and obtain perfect steadfastness. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be freed from their illnesses, and may all diseases without exception of migrating beings never occur again. May those frightened be fearless, may those bound be released, may the weak be strong, and may their minds be mutually friendly. May all travelers be happy in every direction whatsoever. May their aims for which they traveled be effortlessly accomplished. May those who sail on boats and ships fulfill their wishes. Having happily returned to shore, may they be joyfully united with their relatives. May the unprotected children and elderly, lost and anxious in desolate places and the like, those intoxicated with sleep and the insane, be watched over by gods. May they be liberated from the non-leisures and endowed with faith, wisdom, and mercy, and through food and conduct become perfect. May they always recollect their past lives. Due to this merit of mine, may all sentient beings without exception abandon all negativities and always create virtue. May they never be parted from the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, exert themselves in bodhisattva conduct, be cared for by the Buddhas, and abandon all the actions of the maras, of ignorance. May all these sentient beings have immeasurably long lives. May they always live in happiness and not even know the word death. May they always meet the Buddhas and the Buddha's children. May they present clouds of offerings to the gurus of migrating beings with infinite clouds of offerings. For as long as space endures, and as long as living beings remain, for that long may I abide and eliminate the suffering of migrating beings. Thank you for attending. Hope to see you very, very soon.